photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rosetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
The PPBN is a network,
an online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.
Hello and welcome to the judging of the Creative Portrait category for the 2026 Australian Photographic Prize. Thank you for joining us today. We hope that you enjoy seeing some wonderful creative portrait images being judged. I'm here on behalf of our competition director, Daniel Bingham, our director of judging, Chris Anderson, and behind the scenes, we also have Nathan, our broadcast producer, and Daniel is our scribe for today. I'm Robin Campbell. I am your panel mentor for this session. Firstly, I'd really like to acknowledge our sponsors. We'd like to thank our major sponsor, Nikon Australia, who are awarding our overall Australian winner with Nikon product valued at up to $5,000. Thank you also to AZO for providing the Australian runner-up prize of a Color Edge CS2731 valued at $2,000. Our overall international winner wins a 12-month membership to the Professional Photographers Business Network valued at $1,000. Thank you, Mark and PVBN. So today we are here to judge the top 31 images in the creative portrait category. So these are essentially images that capture a subject's essence, personality, or story. The post-production rules are open. Each image must feature at least one living human being as the primary subject and can range from candid moments to formal portraits of individuals, families, or groups. Extensive styling, creative techniques, specialized makeup, and props are welcome. Post-production, including compositing, may form an essential part of the images. Images of animals mostly went to the pet and animal category, and larger groups went to family. So in this session, our expert panel of judges, and I tell you what, we have drawn from world experts, so thank you for joining us. They will be scoring each image out of 100 with a comment for each. And in some cases, probably a few I'm guessing, we're going to have a challenge. And this is where we discuss the image in more detail and then rescore. When we're all done, we move to closed door judging, and the panel will deliberate to determine the winner of the highest scoring images. The winner, as well as second and third place for our Australian images, along with our winning international image, will be revealed at our live awards judging ceremony on the 13th of August. So in a moment, I'll introduce you to our panel of judges. But first up, we're going to have a look at the top 31 images in creative portrait. Thanks, Daniel. All right, so I'm sure everyone agrees that was a stunning collection of images. Well done to all the photographers who have entered. I now have the pleasure of introducing our judging panel. So, Mr. Benjamin Liu, would you like to say hi?
Hello, my name's Ben. I'm from South Australia. I'm an advertising commercial photographer, and I've been involved with competitions, photo competitions since 2008, so quite a while. And yeah, I just love creative portraits. I do a lot of portraiture myself for my work and personal projects as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ben. Next up, we have Christopher Ian.
As I always say, I've been a professional photographer since 1981, but today, for internet purposes, I've driven actually an hour in from the farm to the studio. It's exclusive photography in Melbourne. I've worked here since 1989. It's a studio that basically is a wedding portrait studio. It's boasted over its time 4 Australian Portrait Photographers of the Year, which includes Mandarin Montgomery, who's on the panel, myself, Damien Bauman, and the owner, Shane Monopoly. So I'm looking at the quality here, I'm just dying to dive into this.
I bet you are, Chris. And I'll tell you what, there's no shortage of awards sitting on your shelf as well. Next up, we have Mr. Gary Hughes.
Hello, I'm Gary Hughes. I am not Australian. I'm tuning in right now from Orlando, Florida, where I live and I work. I am a commercial portrait photographer, so I take pictures of people for their jobs. Mostly I don't get to do anything as interesting as these incredible images. So I'm excited to dive into these beautiful storytelling portraits. Can't wait to get started.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Gary. Next up, we have Jasmine Sky Smith.
Hello, I'm Jasmine from Perth, Western Australia. I run Jasmine Sky Photography, which is a portrait photography studio. I photograph babies, maternity. My passion is underwater portraits, and I'm super excited today. I love creative photography. I definitely delve into that sort of arena myself, but yeah, quality is outstanding. So super excited to get into it.
Amazing. I'm loving all of this enthusiasm. Next up, we have Lisa Kurtz. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Robin. Hi, everyone. Lisa Kurtz. I'm a Brisbane, Meanjin-based photo, video installation and projection artist. I'm a graduate of the Queensland College of Art, and I just want to do a shout out to all of the university art galleries. Just alone here in Southeast Queensland, we have Griffith University, we have QUT, we have UQ, even Sunshine Coast Art Gallery. All of the universities have art galleries, and they're incredible opportunities to see work that you may not normally see at any other gallery, particularly our big ones such as GOMA and NGV, etc. So flying the flag for the university space. Also, what was beautiful today, I can already see so many images referencing the history of art. So I can't wait to get in and delve into those. And just want to thank all the entrants for trusting us with their work today. Super excited to be here with this amazing panel of judges.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lisa. And yet, wonderful education, because it's so important for our audience to realize we have judges from all over the world, but also within expert areas individually themselves. So fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Mandarin Montgomery, welcome.
Hi, I'm Mandarin. I'm from Melbourne, and I have shot in my career many genres, but mainly people and portrait. I did learn back in the days of film and darkrooms, but once the digital side came in, it gave us so many more opportunities of really going that extra step. And that's why I'm really excited about this particular category. I've had a lot of experience in it myself, and I feel that judging and listening to the comments is the best way of actually making your images go from here to here. Having said that, looking at the images in the run through, I'm so excited. There are so many really incredible images, so it'll be a great discussion.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Mandarin. Yep, you're absolutely right. You take those comments on board and use them to bring your work to the next level. And finally, we have the incredible Naomi Ryder. Naomi, welcome.
Hey everyone, it's so awesome to be here today. Excuse me. I'm Naomi Reiter. I'm a family wedding and portrait photographer from Sydney. I've spent over 20 years as a professional creative, both as a photographer and a graphic designer. And I've also been a little bit lucky to receive some recognition and achieving a few special titles, and have been awarded in a number of Australian and international competitions. I absolutely love a unique portrait with a little creative magic and a wonderful story to try and unravel. So I am really looking forward to diving into the imagination, personality and the artistry that each photographer has certainly created in their images we've seen through in the run through this morning.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Naomi. Well, I think we are pretty much ready to go. I have selected our first 5 judges who will be starting the judging panel. So in alphabetical order, Ben, Chris, Gary, Jasmine and Lisa. And Daniel, if you're ready, we can have our first image, please.
Good morning. This image is entitled A World War II Veteran in Time, 101 Years of Life.
Hey, this image has scored a silver at 80. And if we're all happy with that, Gary, I'd love a comment, please.
Sure. Thank you, Robin. Yeah, I think there's a lot to really commend here. There's a really great control, use of highlights and shadow, and the way that the elements are all placed in there without being distracting. So there's a lot really working with this image, along with this great expression, some wonderful storytelling. I think to elevate The image, I was a little concerned mainly about the sort of control of the lighting as it being so bright in that edge light on these subjects. Left side, that's camera right, and having nothing separating the subject from the background on the left side. And otherwise, I think it's incredibly strong and really enjoyed the story.
Brilliant. That is excellent feedback. Thank you so much. We'll go to our next image.
This image is entitled Morph.
Thank you, judges. This image has scored 82 Silver Award. Well done to the photographer. Lisa, you've got a comment you'd like to make.
Yes, I think technically this has been really, really well managed, and I appreciate the opportunity to, when we don't forget this is a digital prize, so we zoom in, and when we zoom in, we've been able to see some lovely details. So I want to commend the photographer for having such rewarding information. Conceptually, I just wanted to make a comment about that the conceptual premise for the image. I feel that we just to elevate this into that next category, which would have been silver with distinction. So well done. It's a silver award currently. Is that we needed a strong concept. We needed originality or emotional resonance. And I'm feeling that there was a lot of scope here for the photographer to revisit the concept and really move into, particularly their title Morph. I feel we haven't got enough morphing, and I feel that the photographer has more to go. So be encouraged with the silver, and silver with distinction was wanting more conceptually.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah, Silver Award, fantastic, but love hearing what even takes it higher. Fantastic. Next image. Thanks, Daniel.
Death's Embrace.
And this image has scored an 83 Silver Award. Gary, it'd be great to hear from you. You've got a comment.
Yeah, I actually scored this image in 86, and so it averaged out right about in a great place. I was just really taken with a couple of things. I think that the overall visual design of the shape, how everything wraps around it, is really compelling because you have some really disparate elements of light and shadow, like literally could not be any farther apart on the zone system if we're still talking about the zone system. Yet they're so beautifully managed that all the detail is in every part of the image. And I really like that, as well as the really kind of creepy cinematic color grade that really adds a lot of emotional impact to this image. If there were something that I would add to it, I guess I felt like I wanted just a tiny bit more room around it. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but it felt almost like the low angle didn't give me quite enough. I like the low angle. I just want a little more space around the image to make it seem even a little more grand, but I really found this very compelling.
Wonderful feedback. Thank you so much, Gary. And we'll go to our next image, please.
Girl with Bubblegum.
And this image has scored an 83 silver award. Got a couple of judges that are sort of a little bit higher. I'm just seeing, Mr. Benjamin Liu is going to challenge this. So that means that he now gets to have a chat. We all sort of get to have a little bit of chat about this image and then rescore it. So Ben, take it away.
I've scored this image at 87. I really, really enjoy looking at it. I think each individual portrait works so beautifully on its own. I'd probably give it the same score if it was just one of those photos. But the fact that it's 3, and I love the story. I don't know, maybe I've just got a personal affinity with bubblegum, especially lately. My 7-year-old's been like, I want bubblegum, and I've been blowing bubbles. They're like fascinated with it. And I'm also now fascinated with bubbles. So I guess that's where I'm at here with this. Technically, it's so gorgeous. The lighting, the handling of the background, I can't really fault it. And I love that sort of homage, I guess, to the girl with the pearl earring. Is that the actual artwork here? It ticks all the boxes for me.
Beautiful. Thanks, Ben. Great homage indeed. Mr. Christopher Ian, you're sort of at the other end. What are you thinking?
I was harsh. The thing that pulled me down was basically, your lighting's gorgeous, by the way. Her expression, there's no hint of blowing in her cheeks. It's as though it is a digital appendage to the bubble. And the fact that the expression is great, but I just would have liked the cheeks to cooperate and give us a little bit more air going through those lips. To me, it was just a one-trick pony. But I'm listening.
Thank you, Christopher. Lisa, I'd love to hear from you. You're also in the silver distinction range.
I was. Ben, I wasn't far behind you, just a couple of points. Christopher, Ian, I hear you, and I think that's why I left it in that silver with distinction just at that early end, because I feel there was just a missed opportunity to do something a little bit further. I feel particularly for me, the third expression, that third panel, because we've got potentially, the build up for action. And I just feel, Ben, the reason I kept it at that lower end was I just felt perhaps there needed to be a little bit more of a punchline, or there just needed to be something a little bit more. But I appreciate it's technically well resolved, and conceptually, I just felt we were just, for me, in the silver with distinction range. So I'm Ben, I'm with you. Just helping maybe Christopher, just supporting Christopher Ian a little bit in just digging into the concept behind it a little bit further.
Alrighty, Ben, sounds like you got some support there in the silver distinction range.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for all the comments. Chris, I hear what you're saying with the bubbles, the cheeks expanding. I kind of, when you look at like the image of the Mona Lisa, her expression doesn't change and it follows you everywhere you go. And I think that's really important here. I think that's intentional. Although I think it would have been a bit more humorous had her cheeks been like puffed out like that. But at the same time, I think this is like those really old painted images where there is no expression because they have to stay really still. But it's brought that modern sort of, I'm blowing bubbles, into it. I really enjoy how it's bringing the old and mixing it with the new. And like I mentioned before, technically, it's just so beautiful. That last image on the right, I guess, I don't know how they would have done that, whether she would have actually been blowing the bubble and then just changed just Photoshop the bubble and whatever. But I think it's done really well, and I think that's intentional, not having the cheeks blowing up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. Judges, you can rescore. Ben, you keep your score where it is. Thank you. And we have an 84 silver award. Well done to the entrant. It moved 1 point, and it may not sound like a lot, but you just never know when it comes down to the final selection how many points are going to be there. So what we do here is we keep our judges nice and fresh. So we're going to do our first rotation. So Ben, thank you so much for your challenge. Much appreciated. And I'd like to welcome Mandarin Montgomery to the panel. Welcome, Mandarin. Go to our next image. Thank you, Daniel.
Body dysmorphia.
Thank you, judges. And this image has scored an 85, silver with distinction. However, I think we are going to have a challenge. We have a judge who is sitting in the gold range. Mandarin, you are on 90. Very exciting. Take it away.
Yeah, this image is absolutely superb. What a creative way of referencing such a scary thing that so many people are living with. There's a couple of things that really made me think, wow. The idea of putting all these images together in these squares and rectangles sort of references what everyone sees on social media. We're always looking at our phones. So we're getting all these beautiful images of all these beautiful people left, right, and center. So it's almost like referencing that. The posing is beautiful. We've got the fingers sort of disappearing into a blur, sort of like what the imagination of the person suffering this would be. They have this distorted view of who they are, and that's referenced in the different sizes of the features. Black and white is perfect. I love the treatment of it. So I'd love to hear from what the other judges say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mandarin. Gary, you've got some comments you would like to make.
I am having big feels, you guys. And my first big feel is that I was at 86 and I know that I underscored it. So thank goodness Mandarin has some courage on behalf of all of us, because I just want to point out a couple of things. I could probably do this for 15 minutes on this one image. First, with all of this, and it's the technique, which is normally this kind of mosaic technique can be pretty heavy-handed. And I think it's executed so softly and beautifully in this image that the technique becomes something that enhances the story instead of detracts from it. Two, I love all the little pieces. And as I'm looking at it, I think, gosh, don't we all have just a part of our body that we zero in on and stress out about? And everybody looking at a different part of you, thinking a different thing, or you looking at different parts of yourself. It is quite good. I left with like, boy, does this have originality or emotional resonance? And then I realized, like, yeah, not just that, but it confidently has original emotional power. And yeah, I think I was definitely low, and I'm with Mandarin. Up and away.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Gary. Yeah, and emotional resonance is such a powerful thing in art. Lisa, keen to hear from you.
Mandarin, I was down at the top end of highly commended. And I want to flag a couple of things because I think you can probably address them for me. And I'm very open, okay, to joining you in a higher scoring bracket. So a couple of things when I looked into the image, I found there's an overall layer on it, like a textural layer, and it's on every part of the frame. So it's not just across the human elements. And look, zooming in again, I don't really care about sharpness and things like that. I'm not overly worried, but it is just something that's visible. And I found that it stopped me really being able to get through to enjoy, you know, I mean, the underlying elements that I really wanted to work with. The larger eye being out of focus, I'm almost willing to think that it was intentional. Do you mean it's about, you know, not seeing yourself clearly? So perhaps it's meant to be metaphoric or symbolic. And then the last thing I wanted to just flag was the notion of it having very much like a veil, very loose and veil-like, but the top of that sort of area just felt really stark, like not stark, solid and defined, well defined, sorry, whereas everything else felt a little bit more loose. And I think it was where the join comes from the background to the foreground in the geometry of the shapes. So I can see I've underscored. I hope I've been clear what I was hoping that you might talk through. And back to you or my fellow judges as well to pass some comments on those, to make sure that the post-production treatment is sympathetic and supports the concept behind this.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for that incredible analysis and breakdown. We are talking gold, so I'm going to take a couple more comments. Jasmine, you've been keen since the beginning. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I saw this and it had immediate impact for me. And thank you for challenging this image because I was contemplating gold as well, and I'm glad that you challenged it. I feel like it's been pieced together beautifully. The eye did initially hold me back, and that's probably why I scored it 88, because I was like, oh, it's a feature, but I think it absolutely is intentional and it's there for a reason. Yeah, I think if you look back, it just all the pieces, if you have body dysmorphia, I have got a background of pediatric nursing for 20 years and I've looked after kids that definitely, like, it starts really young for some people, and the veil almost is like it's going into it starts young, but it goes into, it never stops for some people. So I feel like the tiles are like, some are strong, some are soft, and that's intentional because of how you see yourself, for sure. I definitely will be coming up.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jasmine. That's a really unique perspective. And Krista, have you got just a quick comment before I pass back to Mandarin?
Yeah, I think your real achievement is that you've texturally laid over the flesh the aging process. It's just gorgeous thing. And the lips are so texturally strong against what we're doing. I've now worked out the eye. The weak eye, the out of focus eye, is dragging back to the nasty eye, the inclement eye, the eye that's giving you evil. That's why it's soft, it's out of focus, because you have no control over it. You're being dragged as the viewer back to the wicked eye, the controlling eye. I'm going up.
Awesome. All right, Mandarin, your right of reply doesn't sound like you've got too much work to do.
Oh my goodness. So there's so many things to address, and thank you for all those comments. It's amazing how we all interpret things differently, but we're all sort of coming to the same conclusion. The eye, yes, it's a big one. Now, what as judges we often look for is that the front eye is the sharp eye and the back eye is either sharp as well or out of focus. And here we've got the other way around. The way I see that is something that is incongruent with what I would want to see. But then once again, when you're talking about dysmorphia, it's not right. You're looking at something in detail and it's not right. Your face isn't right. Your features aren't right. So I think that this is intentional to tell a story. Now, the texture overlay, I think, is absolutely masterfully conceived, because to me, it looks like a Van Gogh. And we all know that, he had certain body, mental health issues, which I think is quite in keeping with an image like this. It almost has that cubist feel. And we know all about Picasso's cubist portraits, how dysmorphic they were. So I think it's very well handled, and it actually is in keeping with the story that this image tells. Once again, I think it's really a beautiful image. The veil, is it bridal? Is it like a funeral? Is it just covering what this person doesn't want to see about themselves, doesn't want to come to terms with? I think there's so many elements, and the longer you look at it, the more you see, and I think it is absolutely genius. So congratulations to the photographer. I'm on gold. I'd love to see some more.
Fantastic. Judges, if you could please rescore. And congratulations to the photographer. We now have a gold at 91. Sensational. We've got claps all around from the judges, so nice work. Thank you for the challenge, Mandarin. We'll go to our next image, please, Daniel.
The Gibson Girl.
Thank you, judges. This image has scored an 80 silver award with all of our judges within a few points of each other. I'd like to ask for a comment. Christopher, would you have a comment that you could share, please? Just try the unmuting one more time, mate. It's still muted. There you go.
The one thing I really love about it is the reflection. I keep going into it. We've got the facility to go 100%. So we run over an image and look for quirks and mistakes that maybe the photographer missed. But I've been going into that reflection because the little girl's look at her bigger sister or older sibling is pure envy in profile. It's just really good. You've done the stylizing good, the hand coloring is remarkably good, even the discoloration of the backing paper. A lot of effort's gone into this. It's beautifully done.
Fantastic feedback and congratulations to our photographer. We're going to do a quick judge change. Thank you so much, Christopher Ian, for your expertise. And we're going to welcome Naomi Ryder to the judging panel. We can have our next image. Thanks, Daniel.
Popovi sisters come alive.
So just so our audience is aware, what you are seeing is an actual modified version. So sometimes an entry may not be suitable for public display. And so what we do is we look at changing a portion of the image. For those entries though, the modified version is only shown to the audience. The judges see the original unmodified entry, and that is what they are judging today. Lisa, can I get you to have a go putting a score in again? It just hasn't come through yet. Thank you. And this image has scored an 83 silver award. And if we're all happy with that, no, we have a challenge. Naomi, you would like to challenge this. You are on 86, which is in the next category, silver distinction. Let us know what you're thinking.
Okay. This is such a clever illustration. The Popovi sisters are actually a series of dolls that were, I think, produced by Russian artists, I think. And this is such a clever way combining the human form with all the muscles and combining those structures into the mannequin. And I think that this has just been done so cleverly, and it really is, it's like this doll has come alive. Lighting is gorgeous, the handling and the mood, the highlights and shadows are really beautiful. Maybe a little bit of few things just with the extra highlights on the plastic material. But then part of that is part of that actual substrate and the way that it photographs too. So I definitely think this is deserving of just coming up a little bit higher into the scoring range. It's, if I can define silver with distinction, highly refined and distinctive image demonstrating a strong concept and elevated execution, showing originality or emotional resonance. I definitely think that this is a very strong concept. It's fantastically executed and it's definitely original, and I would love to see the photographer being rewarded.
Excellent. I'd like to hear from someone that's sort of perhaps at a slightly different end of the scale. Jasmine, would you be happy to take that on? Thank you so much.
Yeah, look, I definitely want to congratulate the originality. For me, this image didn't feel as refined. It felt a little bit like pasted on, like the dodging and burning is a little bit obvious for me in some places. That doesn't seem as highly refined as what a silver with distinction would be calling for, but I am listening.
Thanks, Jasmine. Mandarin, you've been pretty keen to talk about this from the beginning.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely stunning image, beautiful lighting. I love the concept. I scored it a silver, and where I'm struggling a little bit is in attention to detail. So if the photographer goes back and looks into that more, it'll definitely lift it. So for example, there is dissonance in the softening on the skin. In some parts it's quite soft, in others it's not. If you go to the bottom of that ribbon that's tied on her thigh, it looks like she might have been a little bit cold in the studio, because it looks like there's some goosebumps just around the edge of that ribbon that kind of disappear in the highlight of her leg, and it follows through on the leg behind. So things like that. And also there looks like there's a little bit of redness in her eye. It might be just the way it's showing up on my computer. I would have loved that to have been removed. And finally, the reflection over her nipple, I find that is just disconcerting. I would have loved the light to have, or her body to have moved slightly so that reflection was somewhere else.
Thanks, Mandarin. Gary, you're in support of the silver distinction range. You've got a super quick comment before we throw back to Naomi to close.
Yeah, absolutely. I am a big fan of the work of the Papavi sisters, and like one of the things that they did was made everything by hand. I think they're very famous for doing stuff very practically. And I'm looking all over this thing and seeing like there's an extensive amount of practical effects and effort put into this that really sells. I think that the pose, the light, the concept are absolutely incredible, and I could just keep looking at it and finding more details to enjoy. For me, it's better than silver. I just think that the impact and originality of this pastiche to these doll makers is very well executed.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gary. All right, Naomi, you've got anything to add? I think you're getting a fair bit of support here.
Yeah, look, I definitely think there's a fair bit of support, and I can see that I'm not actually the only one sitting in silver distinction. So, yep, to answer or to make a comment regarding her being cold, yeah, I'd be cold too. If I was wearing just plastic, I'd be pretty cold too. And I think that that actually works as like a little, perhaps a little refined nod to the man-made, the mannequin kind of notion that is actually being included in this presentation. Yes, 100% agree with that reflection on the breast there. I do, that was actually one of the things that I found a little bit distracting, which was the reason I kept it where I put it. And for everything else, I think that we're definitely looking at a really beautiful, strong image here.
Thanks, Naomi. Judges, if you could please rescore. And we now have a silver distinction with 85. Congratulations to the photographer. And on that note, we're going to do a quick judging change. So thank you so much, Gary, for your work, and we welcome back Mr. Ben Liu. And we will go to our next image. Thank you, Daniel.
Albino African reminiscing his heritage.
And this image has scored a silver at 81. Well done to the photographer. Yeah, Mandarin, that would be great. Would love a comment. Thank you.
What an intriguing individual. This is really beautifully photographed. I scored it as silver. Where I feel that it could be improved is I found that the frame around it really distracting and discordant with the image. A couple of other things, it would have been really amazing to get a little bit more technical prowess, so some more detail in the shadows to bring a more balanced look to the image with all these beautiful colors that perhaps could have been brought up in a more flamboyant way. But well done.
Thank you, Mandarin. We'll go to our next image, please.
Welcome to the show.
This image has scored a silver at 81. Well done to the photographer. And we have a challenge. Yep, Mandarin, you're on 85. So just into the next scoring range. Take it away.
I'd love to have a chat about this. I believe that it's worth a few more points. I feel that this is a really beautiful portrait of this child, like perfectly positioned. The look on their face, they're so proud, they're so excited about, what's going to happen in the next hour or two, or however long this show goes ahead for. The styling and the composition of this image is absolutely superb. And the lighting, I'm really impressed. It's like painting with light. Whether it is or not, I'm not sure, but it is really beautiful. And if you squint, you keep going back to her face. So I think it's really beautifully composed and lit, and I'd love to hear from the other judges.
Yeah, Lisa, you're pretty keen to chat. You're in the silver range.
Thanks, Robin. Mandarin, a couple of things. I agree with you. I love that sort of spotlight. Do you mean that's that notion of a spotlight? It is a show. Do you mean we expect that? I felt we're just missing some more drama and theatre. It's a show, so I would love to have seen some more lighting, differences with key lights and main lights, and you'll have to forgive my lack of the technical terminology there, but certainly I feel that we just aren't elevating the subject matter through the lighting that's been applied, and also from the shooting angle. I really would have loved to have seen elevation, both through shooting angle and lighting.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Jasmine, quick comment. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree the composition is really strong in this one and love the colors. For me, I gave it a silver, but I feel like the background feels like a little bit too dark compared to the subject. It almost makes it feel a little bit fake, even though it probably is real, but it's just they've gone that background select, and I just feel like makes it a touch unrealistic for me.
Thank you for that. Mandarin, back to you, write a reply.
Thank you for all those comments, really insightful. I'll address the background being too dark. I feel that it's actually perfect in the amount of darkness, because this is a show that's about to start, so it should be quite deep and dark. and that actually adds to the drama. With the elevation, Lisa, that's a really good point, and I guess I don't disagree with you, but I don't think that it's a reason to mark it down below a silver distinction. I think that all the other elements that create that mood, even the smoke in the background, just adds that little element of extra. The styling is superb. Whether the photographer did it or they had someone assisting, I give them kudos for that. And I think it's got enough drama. The show hasn't started yet. So while you may want to have more lights and things, in the image, I feel that it's just got enough that sort of balances out the idea that it's, she's saying welcome to the show and the show's about to start. So I'd love to see a few more points.
Thanks, Mandarin. Judges, please rescore. And this image now scores an 83, silver award. Well done to the photographer. We'll go to our next image. Thanks, Daniel.
Deviation.
Thank you, judges. Jasmine, I don't think the scores come through. Would you mind just hitting that again, please? Thank you very much. This image has scored an 83, a silver award. However, we have a challenge from Lisa, who is on 88. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, so 88, I'm asking for a handful of points and moving into the next category from, I think, most of my fellow judges. I feel we've got so much to enjoy here. And look, when we think about our category definition, it's capturing an essence, personality, or story. And I think here we've got personality literally leaping out of the frame at us. And I don't think that we can look past the fact that the photographer has engaged with the medium of photography itself. It's acknowledging it's a photo and the artifice of framing and things like that. And I find that that's really, really enjoyable and really well, it's quite sophisticated and quite resolved. There is a nod to the Mapplethorpe, obviously, Mapplethorpe imagery with the black and white, with the flowers, with the human element. And I think, again, I'm finding that really, really enjoyable. In terms of tonal range, I'm enjoying the monochrome that we have there. Seeing the muscles in that person, I think, gives us a real sense of their personality and the fact that they are literally coming through the frame. I want us to discuss this further. I want to hear from my fellow judges why we're not sitting up in silver with distinction. And so I'll hand that back now.
Thank you so much. Mandarin, you're sort of on the lower end. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Lisa. It's quite a stunning capture of an image, very creative. I was in silver, and I guess where I would have loved to have seen a little bit more from the photographer is I wanted to see some really velvety, smooth tones, because that outfit, that fabric, what have you, has that really smooth, sensual appearance. But when you zoom in, there is a lot of noise, which is incongruent with the image. The other thing was that I just couldn't understand the story with the shape that they're jumping out of. It just seems to be very disconnected to the image, in my opinion. And I feel that there's a lot of white on the outside edge, whereas the figure is quite small in the image. And also the shadow under the foot, it almost feels like it's been softened with negative clarity, which just doesn't quite feel right to me.
Alrighty, so we currently don't actually have another judge who has put their hand up to comment. So I'm actually going to do what is called here a panel mentors challenge. So what that means is I have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the image, and everyone here in the room then gets to rejudge. So as a photographer myself, I have entered many awards, and occasionally there's this moment where you get a little bit frustrated when perhaps the idea of what the image is all about hasn't quite come through. So my view of this is it's actually a homage to a series that Mapplethorpe did on lilies. So the actual shape of the fabric, which Mandarin you picked up and you were curious what that was regarding, that is direct homage to Robert Mapplethorpe's Lily series, which he shot. And it's interesting when you bring that perspective in and you look at the artistry and that incredible technical skill to actually turn a piece of fabric whilst moving in dance into another abstract form, and we can see a lily. So I am doing a panel mentors challenge. So I'd now like to open it up if anyone else would like to further comment, and then I'll take it back to Lisa. Thank you. Naomi, you would like to comment. Thank you.
Yeah, look, I really do think this is a very, very unique, original concept. We're clearly looking at someone who perhaps has a profession as a dancer or a gymnast. And so all of those details have been brought forward. I absolutely saw the Mapplethorpe homage as well. And I think that the treatment of that fabric and the way that it's formed into symbolizing that lily shape is divine. I also was there with Mandarin thinking that there was something just, he's fallen into the background. We haven't got any separation between the top of his head and the dark circle behind him. I think the circles belong there. It's beautiful. Graphically, it's so strong and it's so creative and original. But definitely some little bit more control over perhaps the noise and the skin, and just creating a bit more separation between the subject and the background, particularly at the top of his head there, I definitely would have given it a higher score.
All right, Lisa, I'm going to give you the right reply and then everyone can rescore. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for the comments. And thank you, Robin. When I'd said the Mapplethorpe reference, I should have clarified that it was, of course, around the lilies, and that is what the shape is. Sorry, guys, I should have jumped into and spoken about that. That's the inside, if you think of the calla lily. I think I've pronounced that correctly. So that's the shape that we're talking about. So that was sort of a given, and then the notion that this person is leaping out of the frame and out of the lily and out of the whatever interpretation you want to make of the lily. So I suppose I'm just quite enamored by that. The discussion around the separation of the background from the foreground, I suppose, Naomi, for me, I'm quite comfortable conceptually that there isn't the separation, but I appreciate that it's something that, technically is often, we quite like things like that with some backlighting to give us that separation. I'm happy that the person is kind of not necessarily separated from that they're still coming out of that space. And Mandarin, in terms of, I think you had mentioned noise. Definitely the foot. I did notice that, which is why I'm leaving it in silver with distinction. I do agree. I was popping it in gold almost immediately, and then I felt the foot needed some more improved treatment from post-production. I was comfortable with the level of noise I found in the image. That is going to be up to each judge, but I would love you to join me. It's really refined. I think that's what I want to say. It's completely refined. It's very distinctive. We're all commenting on the shape. We haven't seen that before. It's a beautiful homage, but it's also bringing something really unique to the work. And the big whiteness, I'm not sure. Sometimes I look in competitions and I think if only it could have if this was a print, we perhaps would appreciate it a little more and be a bit more comfortable with that framing. I know I've talked a lot, and I just hope that everyone can move and join me in Silver with Distinction, please.
Judges, you can all rescore. Thank you very much. And this image is now a solid silver with distinction at 85. Congratulations to our photographer. We'll go to our next image. Thanks.
"18 Hearts, One Home."
And this image has scored an 83 Silver Award. However, challenge from Naomi, who is in the gold category. Thanks, Naomi.
We are looking here at a beautiful execution of storytelling. My interpretation of this story may be completely wrong, but I feel that this is a family of that has been taken on by foster carers, and they have got all of the broken parts of the people down in the bottom of the house underneath. I think represents perhaps all of the difficulties and the challenges and things that these gorgeous cutouts symbolize. The kid there upside down, the teddy bears, I think that there is such a strong conceptual unity of this couple that have taken on all of these perhaps a little bit broken souls, and they've pulled them together and they've given them a life and a love and a family that they possibly would never have had. And rewarding this photographer, it's technically really, really lovely. The lighting's beautiful, the expression's gorgeous, and I think that it's balanced so well with just a little bit of humor. There's just enough there that really just elevates this story to another level.
Thanks, Naomi. So we have quite a range of scores from our judges. I'd love to hear from Lisa, if possible.
Just briefly, and Naomi, just for me, I felt that there's so many elements that it's very didactic. I felt that there are so many pieces of visual information we've been given to tell us the story, and I felt that it could have been told with many fewer elements. So I just felt that it was a little bit didactic and perhaps therefore a little bit, too reductive. But look, I've heard you, so I've definitely underscored, and I've really listened to what you're saying about let's just think about the narrative. But just some of the visual language is a bit too didactic for me.
All right, Mandarin, you've got a quick comment to add?
I think it's a beautiful image. The longer you look at it, the more you get out of it. I love that all the little faces are happy, which means they've been successful. I scored it as silver. Where I struggled a little bit was the lady, the look in her face is sadness. perhaps rather than pride, which I would have expected more. Also, there's a texture overlay in the that's been used over the background, and there's some yellowish tones above the man's head that sort of extend into that upper flag that I find a little distracting. I would have loved a little bit of vignetting on that upper area with the flag too, to draw our attention back into the figures. But beautiful image.
Thanks, Mandarin. We'll go back to Naomi to provide a reply.
Yeah, look, I actually think that stain on the flag is there quite deliberately. It's a symbol to let us know that all of these people have come from a place in their lives which actually has been a little bit tainted and stained. And I think that that's been kept there very deliberately. And yes, Lisa, there is an awful lot to this story. And I think that this couple, to take on this many souls and to give them a different, better life is exhausting. And I think that the mum is actually showing a level of exhaustion and probably a little bit pained, you know, but I don't feel that they would be feeling particularly proud. I think that in a lot of cases they'd probably be taking on so much pain of all of these broken people to give them a better life. So yeah, beautiful storytelling, and I think we definitely need to bring this up into the gold range.
Judges, please rescore. And we now have a silver with distinction at 86. Congratulations to the photographer. We're going to do a quick judge change. Thank you so much to Jasmine. Have a little break, and we're going to welcome back Christopher. Awesome. We'll go to our next image, please.
Beyond recognition.
Thank you, judges. Christopher, your score hasn't come through, mate. This image has scored a silver at 82. And I think, Christopher, you're pretty happy. You wanted to make a comment on this?
Yes, many years ago there was flipped images starting to appear, and a judge made a fantastic comment. If you really want to play with people's minds, make an essential element disparate. So it make the flip obvious, but then maybe in this case, move that jewelry so it's in a different place. So people go, are we looking at a flip image, or is a person organically that way?
Thank you for that feedback. We'll go to our next image, please.
The Little General.
This image has scored an 81. Silver Award, and I would like a comment if possible. Anyone want to put their hand up? All right. Thank you so much, Mandarin.
This is such an adorable image. I absolutely love it. I scored it a high silver, 84. Where I could say the photographer could improve. The background superb. The face on the child is gold. It's such a perfect expression. I just wish there was a little bit more chiaroscuro on the hobby horse, the rocking horse, because it brings it back into reality, whereas I want to feel it more of a picture storybook style. So a little bit more treatment that's coherent with the rest of the image, I think would lift it.
Thank you so much, Mandarin. That's a fantastic comment. And on that, thank you, Mandarin. You can have a little break and we will welcome back Jasmine. Thanks, Daniel. We'll go to our next image, please.
This image has no title.
And this image has scored an 81 Silver Award. And I think we'll go to a comment. So let me see. Who can I pick to comment? Mr. Christopher Ian, that would be great. Thank you.
Success is believability, and your concept's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The torn wings of a person. It's just that because it's in colour, we have colour references. And so the wound is not as successful. I really believe if you went to grayscale in any way, black and white, it would actually become much more convincing.
Thank you so much, Christopher. We will go to our next image, please.
A lucid moment in a forgetting mind.
And this image has scored an 83 Silver Award. However, we have a challenge from Naomi Ryder, who is in a very different category. She is sitting in the gold category. Thanks, Naomi. What are your thoughts?
Oh, look at these two. This is actually it is quite intimate. It's also a little bit haunting in a way, because not knowing which of these two is suffering from the dementia, and perhaps both of them are to some degree, it's just such an honest, beautiful moment. And I think that the connection between them, just maybe for this moment, has been realized by the photographer. I'm going to suspect that maybe life outside of this is actually not as happy and not as rewarding, and probably incredibly challenging. So to have this portrait together of these two really, really celebrates probably what is quite a small moment in time, that in the reality of their lives. And I definitely think that this needs to just be talked about.
Fantastic. Lisa, did you have something you might like to add?
Yeah, Naomi, thanks for getting the challenge up to give us a bit more time with the work. I just couldn't resolve why it was a studio portrait, sort of mid-body. It's a very self-conscious image, it's very much a studio portrait. And I just couldn't understand and resolve in my mind why that works for this particular moment. Because when I went in close and I saw just the beautiful couple, I felt like that's all I wanted. Do you mean? And the rest of it was superfluous. But then when I come back out in the frame, I can agree there's just this simplicity. I suppose I can't understand the background. I can't understand the elements and the framing that photographer's chosen. But I'm listening. I'm completely listening. And thanks for the challenge.
Thanks, Lisa. Jasmine, you're in favour of this image. You've given a very, very solid silver.
Yeah, there's undoubtedly a beautiful connection in this photo, and it tells an amazing story. I think I was rewarding that 100%. For me, I think what was holding me back from going higher again was just a little bit of the background, and particularly like the hair going into the background. But I don't want to talk it down because this is a beautiful image.
Fantastic. All right, Naomi, sounds like you have a right reply.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't think that the background actually really matters, and I understand that if people are in this place in their lives, that perhaps they've brought the family for a portrait in a studio because it's a safe, potentially easily controlled environment with regards to lighting and things like that. I think that, this is actually just showing this couple, they're a little bit vulnerable. It's definitely tender. And I think that this is absolutely a moment worth celebrating. Background or otherwise, this story is about these two people there and less about the space that they're in. It's not an environmental portrait. So I think that we're definitely talking about a studio portrait that is telling a very, very compelling story.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Naomi. Judges, if you could please rescore. And this image has one more point with a silver at 84. Well done to the photographer. And on that note, we're going to go for a quick ad break. We know you've all been absolutely riveted listening and need a quick little step away. So we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Thanks so much, Daniel.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO ColorEdge for their image creation. ISO ColorEdge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
The PPBN is a network,
An online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.
And welcome back, and thanks again to our incredible sponsors who keep our amazing finalists and winners into their prizes. So we are going to do a quick judge swap. Thank you so much to Lisa, who's been on the panel for quite some time now, and we are going to welcome back Gary. And with that, we'll go to our next image, please, Daniel.
Cocoon.
This image has scored a silver award at 82. Well done to the photographer. If I could ask for a quick comment, Jasmine, you're on the average there. Thanks.
Sorry about that. Yeah, wow. This image had immediate impact. I was like, what am I looking at? So congratulations to the photographer for that. Yeah, it's super intriguing. The color is beautiful. I'm just trying to think of something to help improve the image. Yeah, I don't actually have a lot to say. I feel like it may be just the cutting out of around the subject to the background. It just feels a little bit not real, but it is a beautiful, intriguing image.
Beautiful. A solid silver. Well done. We'll go to our next image, please.
The Matriarchs.
Christopher, you okay there with the score? Thanks, mate. This image has scored an 85, a silver with distinction. Well done to the photographer. Gary, you have a comment you would like to make. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Sure. This is just a really beautiful group portrait, and maybe it's a composite, as we say in America, or composite, as they say literally everywhere else. But I think it's put together really beautifully. The technical excellence is here. The lighting is great. There are just a couple of small areas that I think could probably make this a little bit stronger. You've got these 6 subjects on the right, and then 3 subjects on the left where you get a complete shift in level of saturation and level of contrast and level of luminosity and color balance all change right after that one person. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it feels very disconnected compared to the rest of the harmony of the image. And other than that, I think it's just a beautiful piece.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And we will go to our next image, please.
No one escapes time.
The judges, this image has scored an 83 silver award. Great job to the photographer. Yeah, a comment would be great. Oh no, Ben Lou, we have a challenge from Ben, who is in the next scoring range, silver distinction. Fantastic. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, I'm at 85. I'm right there. I think you were on 83. I don't think we have too far to go. I'm looking around the image and there's so much detail in like everything. Technically, it's so stunning. The leaves look so beautiful, and I really do enjoy that story. You know, how we don't escape the travel of time, I suppose, and it shows us this man. He could be some whatever leader or something like that, and he wants to stay alive forever. However, he's not going to, and I sort of just enjoy that story, I guess. And technically, I think it's so gorgeous. I can't fault it technically at all. I'm pixel peeping. So in that regard, I think it's got I think it is highly refined. Um, and it ticks all the boxes for a silver with distinction. So I'd like to know why it's just a silver and not a silver distinction, because it, like I said, ticks all these boxes for me.
Thanks, Ben. Jasmine, what have you got to add?
Yeah, I feel like this is a really creative, unique idea. I think what was holding me back from going higher was perhaps the hand that's reaching through. It just didn't feel very real. There's a bit of a disconnect there for me. And also just the dodging and burning, it just feels a little bit crazy, like not intentional in terms of like there's random leaves that are lit up, and it doesn't feel like it's intentional.
Naomi, you're in support of this image. You've got a quick comment to add.
Yeah, such a clever thing, and the concept that that we will all get wrapped up into not being able to stay alive forever. This is a really clever concept. I definitely think that I do actually definitely think that I'm happy to come a little bit higher. The only thing that sort of held me back a little bit actually was the treatment of the shadows of the ivy coming up across his chest, and the shadows just looked a little bit heavy and dense, and they almost felt like it was growing out of him rather than growing over the top of him. If those shadows were actually a little bit smaller, and then it would feel like that, and maybe not as dark, it would definitely feel like they were sort of sitting over the top of him. But Yeah, brilliant concept, and it's illustrative and very, very clever. So yeah, I'm happy to come up. I'm happy to come up for sure.
Thanks, Naomi. Ben, your right reply. Sounds like you got at least one person on board here.
Yeah, I'm glad I got at least one person to come up. I think I don't know, like the leaves stylistically, I kind of enjoy. I don't think they're overdone. They're not overly HDR. You can see detail in almost everything. I can't fault it like that. As an architectural shot, the verticals are all lined up, and that's what I'm saying. Like technically, I can't fault it. In regards to the shadows and all that sort of stuff, I imagine that wherever this is overgrown. There's leaves everywhere, and so you're probably going to get a little bit of not dappled light, but well, kind of like dappled light, but in shadow dapple. If that makes any sense. I don't really see the ivy going through him. Maybe in his midsection, just a tiny little bit, but I really enjoy how that statue part of him, the lower half, is it sort of matches with the other two, and it shows that he's halfway through his life and he's being immortalized in a shadow in a statue, but he doesn't want to die. So yeah, technically I still can't fault it, and the story, like I said, ticks all the boxes. Come up.
Thank you, Ben. We'll go to rescore, please, judges. Thank you. And this image remains at 83. Well done, photographer. Silver, and it's a very solid silver at that. And on that high point, thank you, Ben. You can have a break. You've been on for quite a while now, and we're going to bring back Mandarin. Go to our next image. Thank you, Daniel.
This image has no title.
This image has scored a solid silver at 83. Well done to the photographer. And thank you, Gary. We'd love a comment.
Yeah, I was right at 84. I think this is a great score for this image. Strong portrait, great use of color, and also using tonality to layer and add depth to an image that might otherwise not have nearly as much, mixing the browns, the cream colors, and the whites. I think that the strongest thing about this is that the expression sells the character here, this sort of androgynous, sort of different kind of person that we're really like makes this so compelling and interesting, and all the uses of shapes and triangles to sort of reinforce it, both upside down and right side up. As far as improving, I think the thing that probably could improve this image the most, a little more control of those highlights in the image to bring that face a little closer to the area of highest contrast and draw the eye in what is a fairly busy ensemble and let us see that incredible expression just a little more quickly.
Thanks so much, Gary. We'll go to our next image, please.
Echo of Sophia.
Just so that the public is aware, what you are seeing in the live stream is somewhat different to what we are seeing as judges. So it has been modified so that it's suitable for public display. The judges will always see the original unmodified entry, and that is what they're judging today. This image has scored a silver with distinction at 85. Congratulations to the photographer, and the judges are all very, very close in their scoring ranges. Christopher Ian, you'd like to make a comment?
I think in your quest for gold, you've beaten yourself over the head with this, because with fewer subjects, you were there. The more subjects, the more we've got things to stray on to. And obviously the lighting angles can then no longer really be realistic. The lighting can't be from one source then. With fewer objects, fewer subjects, it's a killer portrait though. I think this lady would have absolutely adored this representation of her.
It's a silver distinction. Congratulations to the photographer. That is an excellent, excellent entry. Well done. We'll go to our next image, please.
Amidst.
This image has gone straight to a gold at 90. Congratulations to the photographer. Now, I have to say, we have 3 judges in the gold range, and when we get a score of 90 straight away, that tells me that we're seeing something quite extraordinary. Anyone who is in the 90 range can actually challenge. It has scored 90, so if you've scored 91 and you would like to challenge it, you can. Otherwise, I'm very happy to take comments. Gary, you're happy to give a comment?
Yeah. How much time you got, Robin? Golly.
Actually, Gary, I'm going to stop you. I am going to stop you because
we got a challenge. We
do. Naomi has taken it on. She is in 92. And definitely we need to be talking about this. So Naomi, and then Gary, I'm going to come back to you in a moment. So hold on to those thoughts. Hold on to those thoughts. Thanks, Naomi.
Oh, I'm so pleased we're going to get to talk about this. And I don't actually really know where to start. As Gary said, how much time have we got? This is there is a beautiful balance here between technical control and creativity. Having this portrait, such a strong, bold sense of presence surrounded by all that softness and the texture that is actually so reminiscent of film is beautiful. It's almost cinematic, but without being on a film set. It's absolutely gorgeous. And that little piece of hair across the face, ordinarily that would be something that you'd go, no, you need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of that. This is very definitively needs to be there. It needs to be there. It is giving us a little bit of a hint of their personality, and but without like blasting it in your face. It's so delicately handled. There's nothing about this that just doesn't emanate just a little bit of intrigue and a little bit of a different perspective on this person and who they are and their character. So let's get talking.
All righty. So we've got a few people who would like to talk about this. Jasmine, take it away.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we've had a chance to talk about this, because I was so unsure with my scoring on this one, because it did give me that real initial impact, and I was like, oh, I could go so high, and then I went with 84, so I'm a little bit embarrassed by that. I do think it has a beautiful tone, the black and white, the strong eyes. I think what was holding me back was like the hand sort of clenched fist down the bottom. My eye kept going down there, but the eyes are so strong. So yeah, I'm definitely coming up.
Awesome. Gary, you are in the gold range already. What have you got?
And very possibly, Robin, a bit low. Um, I have one rule when an image pops up, because as judges, you're in your own head all the time, and you're looking to kind of keep stuff out of the net, and sometimes you're looking at, but when something shows up and your heart beats faster, you just go. You just go. And you know what? Reel me back in and tell me why I'm wrong. That's why we're a team. But good Lord Almighty, if this is to me the gold standard of what a portrait artist is trying to create. And I could get technical on it, but I don't like to lead with technical. I like to lead with feeling, because everything else that's going on in this image, everything else that's going on with it, all the good, it's still a portrait, and just that expression and the way that you're locked in to their face and those eyes. This is not only thoughtful, it's not only beautiful, but it is meticulously designed to be enjoyed, and to, at its very, very core, be a portrait that makes you feel something. And God, it's so emotionally impactful to me that the technical stuff almost becomes invisible. And that's when I know I'm swinging for the fences. So unless somebody's got some real good reason why not, I really feel like I want to be in that gold with distinction category on this one. I'm gutted. I'll be thinking about this all day tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gary. All right, before I go back to Naomi, we'll just take one more quick comment because it is a gold. Christopher, super quick comment. What have you got?
It's just so reminiscent of Curtis's portraits of American Indians, and their defiance has been replaced by this depressing mood that this woman has. I just love, and I've been dying for some to use camera movements in photography. This is the least digitally affected photo because the process was available in the 1880s. Camera movements, the degree of focus can be aligned to just one spot and everything goes out of focus. This is gorgeous. This is gold distinction.
All right, Naomi, you have a right reply. I don't think you have much work to do, though.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're all with me. I think what is so beautiful about this is that this subject creates this emotional connection with us, and it just draws us in and wants us to find out more and more and more about this story. It's beautifully emotionally engaging, and technically it is just so well presented. And yes, I think we need to play.
All right, judges, you've heard the debate. Please rescore. And we now have a 94 gold award. Congratulations to the photographer. That is absolutely extraordinary. Well done. I think you have definitely moved our judges, which in photography is the highest level of achievement. Do a quick judge change. Thank you so much, Jasmine. And we are going to welcome back Lisa. And we will go to our next image, please.
Lucas has a tomato fight with an elephant.
This image has scored an 81 Silver Award. Well done to the photographer. Could I get a comment, please? Gary, have you got something to say?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I really enjoy the technique and storytelling in this image, and it's deservedly in the silver category. It's really whimsical at the same time as being strongly technical. For me, though, the one thing that I was missing that I think kept me at 84 and not placing it into a higher category was the consistent level of focus of the entire thing from front to back. I'd love to see just a little bit of relief in the sharpness in parts of the image, not because you're trying to necessarily simulate an in-camera portrait, but because you want to let the viewer tell them in what order to enjoy the things. And I think the sequence of these events is really important. He's throwing the tomatoes, he's getting washed off, and they're all tuckered out. But tuckered out is the sharpest thing in the image. And I think that that doesn't serve the story very well compared to if it were just managed a little bit differently.
Thank you so much, Gary. We'll go to the next image, please.
Judith beheading a lettuce.
This image has scored a silver at 82. However, we have a challenge from Lisa, who is in the next range, silver distinction, with an 85. Thank you so much, Lisa.
I've just heard Chris Anderson's words in my mind that when you're going with one of these awards, you need to put yourself in the middle. I've already underscored it. I'm sorry, I really should have popped this in at maybe an 86 or 87. So just, if I can just let my judges know, I'm really coming, I promise I'm committed to silver with distinction. It's funny. Honestly, it's rare to see humor in photography, and it's been it's been presented so beautifully. I'm just not sure what my fellow judges, what's kept us down in that lower end of silver. For most of you, you don't have far to come up into silver with distinction. And I'm just needing to know what are your challenges so that I can bring it up and get us there into silver with distinction.
Mandarin, you had a comment you would like to add. Thank you.
Yeah, when someone adds humor to an image, I think that's a really successful. Great image. I scored it a silver. A couple of things that just let it down for me slightly was, I guess I wanted to see a little bit more of the chaotic nature of that lettuce being chopped in half. There's lots of, little water droplets coming out, but I can't see any lettuce leaves or bits of lettuce leaves. And the people seem very clean. Maybe it's the first thing that they've chopped, but I want a little bit more drama in it. Also, it seems like there's a little bit of the background just seeping into some of the characters. For example, the background against the shawl of the lady on the right just seems to be seeping in. So a couple of technical things too.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mandarin. Most of our judges are actually pretty close in scoring range. I don't have anyone else that's particularly wishing to add to the debate. So we might go back for right or reply. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Mandarin. And I did see that as well, definitely. It's clearly when we can zoom in, we can see those elements there. I felt that everything else, I was comfortable that outweighed that for me, that everything else is so enjoyable. It's intelligent, it's refined. There's beautiful detail in 99% of the frame where we want it. And I was just very happy to go along with the ride and with the story here. And even the expressions in the faces are just so humorous by not being humorous. I really want to reward the photographer for being brave to present us something with humor, because it's always difficult to pull off, and I think they've carried it beautifully here. So a couple more points, see if you can join me.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Judges, if you could please rescore. And we have an even more solid silver award at 84. Congratulations to the photographer. Every point does count, and there was quite substantial movement by a number of the judges. So a very worthwhile debate. Thank you so much. We're going to do a quick judge change. So thank you, Christopher Ian. You've been on for a little while, and we'll welcome back Mr. Ben Liu. Go to our next image, please. Thank you.
Henna Solo, or maybe that should be Hana Solo.
And for the audience's knowledge, this image appears in a modified way for public display. However, the image that is shown to the judges is the original unmodified entry, and that's what they're judging. Thank you. This image, I comment. Naomi, would you like to make a comment?
Certainly.
Hang on. No, Mandarin, have you? Oh, hang on. Sorry, Naomi. I think we've got a challenge. It's only just come through. There's been a bit of an internet delay. I'm not sure whose end that came from, but sorry, Naomi, you will get a chance to speak. However, I do have an elective challenge from Mandarin, who is on silver distinction, so we will let her go first. Thanks, Mandarin.
Yeah, hi. I think that came from my end. It just kind of cut out a little bit, but I did press challenge straight away. I really want to have a chat about this image. I scored it a silver distinction. I think it is absolutely stunning, beautiful, sensual image. It's a superb expression, beautiful posing. I love the treatment of the image and her expression. So I'd love to hear from my fellow judges.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lisa, you're on 78. What are your thoughts?
Again, thanks, Mandarin. Appreciate the challenge and letting us dwell with it a little bit further. A couple of things. I really wanted to see the full face. I really, really wanted to see more, either everything's in profile or just a slight, a slight turn of the head. I feel that I very much needed to really enjoy the frame because everything else is front on, and I can't understand why I'm not seeing, that we're not even that, there's so much movement that perhaps the body could have been moving as well. And I think that would have elevated the narrative for me as well. And I think this is an instance with the title that it was, it can very much skew your interpretation of this work. And I won't comment further on that unless I'm called to, but sometimes I think titles are tricky. So Mandarin, that was my thoughts. I really wanted to see all of that face because it looks quite exquisite.
Naomi, you are in favour of this image. You're on a very solid silver.
Yeah, definitely a very solid silver. And my initial reaction to it was, wow, it had absolute creative impact. It's got a painterly feel to it. It does feel like that we're actually looking at something that's been painted or illustrated rather than photographed, and that adds a texture and a mood to it, which I think absolutely elevates the image. I'm also with Lisa. I do feel that I want to see a little bit more of maybe perhaps something more of her face. Maybe her teeth are very, very white. And under the cloth, my feeling is that perhaps if that had been brought back a little bit more and maybe a little bit more detail or something added to the eyes and the eyelashes or something to just lift that. But everything else about it, I think, is actually very, very exquisite and certainly very unique.
Alrighty, so we don't have any other judges with their hands up. However, I am going to do a panel mentors challenge yet again. So one of the nice things about being on this side is sometimes you can actually see things in a written form rather than a verbal one. And so the title Han Solo, the homage to Han Solo when he was put inside this incredible piece of metal. I think that is contributing so much to the actual story, and so it's the homage elements to the whole fantasy of Star Wars and everything that makes Star Wars, which is why perhaps some of the technical and more abstract elements in this image could be a little relaxed in our judging. I'm asking the judges to look at it from an artistic and creative homage perspective. Thank you. And now I'm going to hand it back to Mandarin, knowing that everyone has the right to rescore. Thank you, Mandarin.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone's comments. Just to address a few things, not having the face, a full face, having it slightly turned to the side, I think adds more dynamism to the image. I think if it was front on like the rest of the body, it would have just been a little bit too front on. So that creates a little bit more mystery in the expression, a little bit more mood. Look, I don't disagree with the comment that the teeth are a little bit bright, and that's why I scored it a silver distinction rather than a gold. But I think the treatment of the fabric is absolutely superb. It's so three-dimensional and it's so ethereal and mysterious. And the more you look at it, the more you enjoy it. So I do believe that it's worth at least a silver distinction, if not higher.
And all judges may now rescore. This image is now a silver with distinction at 86. Congratulations to the photographer. We will go to our next image, please.
Saint Cecilia, patron saint of music.
And this image has scored an 82 silver award with all of our judges in a very close scoring range. Ben Liu, you'd like to make a comment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, look, a solid concept. Really love it. Executed really well. I think to elevate it higher, just maybe just watch out for those really dark shadows bottom right. But that's all I can say.
Thank you very much. We'll go to our next image, please, Daniel.
Smoke on the water, a fire in the sky.
And this image has scored a silver with distinction at 87. Congratulations to the photographer. We have two judges, however, who would like to challenge that score. Ben, you are on 93, which is an incredibly solid gold award. I will let you take on the challenge.
so glad I'm getting to judge this image because when I saw it in the walkthrough, I was like, what? I need to see that a little bit more. I can't fault this technically at all. Like, it's perfect. It is absolutely perfect. Like, all those little details of the water um, are so, what are they're placed, or they were just happen to be, some of them are placed, but I can't fault them at all. There's nothing going on there that makes me go, oh, that's could be improved. The way that this has been composed, the crop and the presentation is so perfect. The colors, the what's the title? Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. I can't fault it at all. I'd like to hear more comments about it.
Fantastic. Lisa, you're not so sure? You're at the other end of the scale.
Yeah, Ben, I'm right at the other end of the scale in the sense that I'm at the top end of highly commended. I just can't read this conceptually. And so when I can't get, I mean, I can obviously see the title, I see the notion of water and fire, but I'm not seeing any, I'm just not seeing it resolved. I'm seeing details in fabric. I don't know why that particular fabric was chosen conceptually. That's not working for me at all. The fabric that's placed on the model's head, and again, this is very much, I read this as a very well executed studio image with some very clever post-production, and it's technically beautiful. I'm really on board with that. And so I've probably underscored it. I agree, because technically, I'm comfortable as well that it's quite magical technically, but I just can't reward. I'm not seeing originality. I'm just not reading the concept, and every element hasn't earned its place in the frame for me, particularly with the costuming. Really open though. Okay, so back to my fellow judges.
Thank you, Lisa, for your very open perspective. Love it. Mandarin, you have a comment.
Just a quick one. I scored it a silver distinction. I think it's a stunning image. I absolutely adore those wings created by the splash of the water. Beautifully lit and posed. I guess a couple of things that brought it down. Very much what Lisa said, that fabric. Is it a bow on her head? What is it? It's just really distracting. And I kind of wish that the eyelashes were just a tiny bit sharper and more distinct. But beautiful image.
All righty. Naomi, did you want to quickly add a comment? You're in the gold range as well. What are you thinking?
Oh, look, I'm hearing everything that Ben said was kind of everything that was in my mind too. It is creatively very original, and making the water shape like the wings. I just think we've got a fantastically strong concept and story here. And I actually think that the fabric actually adds a lovely texture to it. It's a complete contrast to the water. And I think that adding that texture in just adds a little bit more, in a way, probably grounds it a little bit more, and adds a lovely a lovely difference between the cold and the wet and the water and the fire in the sky. I think that that's probably also a great choice of fabric as well, to emulate, to create the shape of flames as well.
Beautiful observation. Thank you so much for sharing. Ben, your right of reply.
Yeah, I'm not hating the fabric at all. I think it adds to that smoke and the water. It's sort of somewhere in between. I don't know how you sort of imagine trying to pick a fabric that can sort of illustrate both, depending on how you light it. And if you look at it, it's like, yeah, okay, that could be smoke. Oh yeah, that could be, fire, water, all that sort of stuff. The wings and the way that the water and the wings have been executed, I think, are absolutely stunning. I think it ticks all the boxes for me. It's outstanding, and this had that visual impact when it came around for me. It technically so beautiful, confident in how they've put it together as well. I encourage you to just come up a little bit, but yeah, I think it's a stunning image.
Thanks, Ben. Judges, please rescore. And this image is now indeed a gold at 90. Congratulations to the photographer. So how that works is you sometimes have a gold by majority, and then you have a gold by average. And this particular image is a gold by majority because we had 4 of our 5 judges in the gold range and some substantial movement by all of our judges. So thank you very much. Just goes to show the debate process works very, very well. We're going to have a quick judge change. Thank you so much, Mandarin, and we will welcome back Christopher Ian. Thanks, Daniel.
This image is entitled Red Roses of Kayla.
And this image has scored a highly commended at 79. Could I please get a comment from Gary? Thank you so much, Gary.
Yeah, no problem. This is just a really, really beautiful portrait that I'm sure that the subject was thrilled with. And I had scored this at 77 in highly commended. And I think that's an appropriate place for it to live because it shows definite skill and in technique and execution. But for award range, I think it's just a little bit short. And here's why I think so. First, I think that in a image that's using a lot of high key elements, it sure has a low key kind of contrasty feel to it. But the artist here didn't do the best job they could telling the viewer where to look. The brightest part of the image is the chest of our subject. And that's where your eye is going to go in an image like this, whereas the face didn't receive quite the same amount of illumination. In addition, for an image like this with everything being white or light gray or cream, and red roses, the image gets really dingy around the edges with some really, really heavy vignetting that I don't think serve it very well. And you've probably got about 6 different skin tones from the forehead all the way down to the toe, and no consistency as to how the actual subject's skin is lit and treated after the fact. So a little bit more refinement, even in post-processing, I think could get it there. But as it stands, I think this scored well and highly commended.
Thank you, Gary. And we'll go to our next image, please.
Iris.
Thank you, judges. This image has scored an 87, a silver with distinction, and we have a challenge from Naomi, who is on 92 Gold Award. Thank you, Naomi.
Oh, guys, look at her. This is an exquisite, beautifully simple presentation using such an essentially simple tonal range but so beautifully and delicately handled. The shape of her, she is actually a flower herself. Look at the shape of the fabric and the way that it comes down and forms the shape down at the base where her legs are. There's this beautiful shape and movement and softness, and she's elegant, she's refined. The lighting is just gorgeous. We've got the highlights on her eyes being other than the flower itself, like that is the brightest part of her face. And so it draws us to want to find out more about her, and she looks like she's just exuding this peace and tranquility, and 100% this is deserving of sitting. We don't have very far to move, but definitely deserving of sitting in the gold range.
All right, Mr. Ben Liu, you're at the other end of the scoring range.
Yeah, I think I started probably at a high silver distinction, but then I sort of a couple of things. I appreciate like everything. I'll talk about the good things first. Like the way that that fabric is handled is just so gorgeous. It is so beautiful. I love how the subject is placed within the fabric as well. I think that's beautiful, and I wanted to love this so much. But then I like that really dark bit down at the bottom left of the image. I can't unsee it now. I find it really, really distracting. And there's also a couple of bits in that fabric, like there's just a bit of black, um, I don't know, dust or something on that fabric. So I think it's just missing that finessing, but it's got everything to it. So I wanted to love it, and I'm listening. But yeah,
Lisa, you are up there very much in support heading towards Naomi's scores. Have you got something you'd like to add, please?
Naomi, reiterating what Ben had just said about the black line at the base, just trying to place it. Do you mean just trying to resolve it in my mind? Is it shadow? Is it human? You know, so I can't quite pull that together. And I also just had a tiny niggle, and I don't know whether I should. So Naomi, I'll definitely want your insight. When you come in close, it is exquisite and you want to absolutely love it. I was actually up with you higher. Okay, I was in gold, and then I just pulled it back because of that line. You know, when you come into our subject space, which is exquisite in the sunlight, but then up behind, the fabric's got the line under it, it just becomes a bit more obvious that there's something that she's in, if that makes sense. So I've been taken out of the magic of it a little bit. So I think that's all it was. There's a couple of real elements that are taking from the magic, and I'm totally open.
All right, Naomi, can you please share some more light on the magic?
Well, I think that actually the black line just shows us that she's enveloped in this beautiful flower, and I think it gives us a little bit of three-dimensional structure to it. Maybe there's a few little imperfections in the fabric, but I also think that that's maybe what brings it to feel more real. If the fabric was too perfect, then it would feel maybe a little bit contrived in some way. And beyond that, there's not a lot that I think in this that takes away. Just to reiterate the definition of the gold category, we should be looking at an outstanding image showing excellence in concept, craft, and impact, confidently original or emotionally powerful with few, if any, distractions. And I think that we are absolutely sitting in there. So we don't actually have very far to move. And I think that I'd love to see where you can all place this.
Judges, if you could please consider the debate and rescore. And we now have a gold award at 90. Congratulations to the photographer. Thank you for taking that challenge on board, Naomi. You certainly moved everybody in your debate. We're going to do a quick judge change. Thank you so much. Who's been on? Actually, Naomi, you've been on the longest. I'll give you a little break and we will welcome back Mandarin. Thank you so much. We'll go to our next image, please.
The Maker and the Muse.
And this image has scored an 83 silver award. And if we're all happy with that, we will take a comment, please. Yeah, great. Mandarin, thank you.
This is a really cool storyline, and the photographer has really thought very carefully about all the elements. So I scored it silver. A couple of things to think of. The expression on the man's face. I kind of wish he had have been. He looks like he's looking past the female form walking past him, and because of the nature of the story, I kind of wish he was looking towards her. Also, I feel that there's a little bit too much HDR. It appears on the muse, so to speak, that is incongruent with the rest of the image. Perhaps a little bit of vignetting may have drawn our eye towards him, because the highlight on the left of the image really draws us back out of the frame. So a couple of points, but really a great concept.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mandarin. We're going to do one last little quick judge change. Thank you so much, Lisa. You've been on a while, and we're going to welcome back Jasmine. And we're going to go to our next image, please.
Kopi si kusong, which roughly means coffee, milk, no sugar.
Thank you, judges. This image has scored a silver award at 81. Well done to the photographer. And Ben, you'd like to add a quick comment. Thanks.
Oh, look at this uncle in Malaysia making coffee for somebody. I love it. I was born in Malaysia, so I've had quite a few of these. But I love the Milo in the background. I think I wanted to love this image so much, and I would have gone higher if the highlight on his head wasn't so bright. I love that the light's coming through, because it shows you that he's just like in his like little, back tin shed. They don't really have a lot of the standards for cleanliness is sort of a bit lower than ours. But there's so much detail in here, and I really, really love it. Like all the open tins of the condensed milk and everything like that. It really sings to me. And that little cat in the background, probably there to chase the rats away, You don't have the ice when you go to places like this, but I love the image. Really great creativity. Just watch that shadow down the bottom right as well. I think I'd like to see some detail there.
Thank you so much, Ben. We'll go to our next image, please.
Fallen.
And this image has scored a silver at 83. Well done to the photographer. Oh, we have a challenge. All righty, Mandarin, you are on silver distinction at 86.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth a conversation to bring it up a little bit higher. I think it is a really cool concept. I feel that the brave cropping actually adds to the storyline. The posing, the expression on the angel's face, the fallen angel, it is just a perfect concept. So I'd love to hear from the others.
Absolutely. Mr. Gary Hughes, you've got your hand up to have a chat.
Yeah, I agree with Mandarin on so many of the positives of this, and the tall skinny crop and the kind of almost bullseye of that feather. There's just a lot to really love here. But I put this very specifically, I scored this in silver because wanting to go higher, I think something where the concept is this good, and I hate this, but it falls down on the technical in a couple of, I think, very critically important ways. And the first is that the blending needs a lot of work of that subject in the background. If you look at this angel falling, look around that back wing, it's a very rough cutout of that wing. The way that the clouds are layered against the hair, against the subject. I mean, it really could do with just another pass to believably blend that subject into that. And the other thing I struggled with was that I think a little bit of motion blur would sell this. I think just a little bit of movement would sell this, into something that would make it much more believable for the viewer. Instead of thinking about how this was done in the studio, I would just be like enthralled with the story of this fallen angel. And that's why I landed at 83.
Thanks, Gary. Christopher, you're next with your hand up. What would you like to say?
I'd really like to congratulate the photographer, because in this image, and in quite a few of them today, we've seen people have listened. A lot of these people have talked to their subjects beforehand. They've put in their mind the mindset that they should have. They're not just standing and staring back at the camera doing the pose. Her eyes, her lips, convincing. Her fingers, her hands, convincing. This all adds to the storytelling, not just the props, but you've got to have your subject on side in her expression, and you've done that.
Excellent. All right, we'll go back to Mandarin for your right reply. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the comments, judges. Really insightful. Just to address them with the blending, look, I don't disagree. I encourage the photographer to work a little bit on that, but that's why I didn't put it into the gold range. I scored it a silver distinction. I still believe is demonstrating a really strong concept and elevated execution in the posing, in the expression, in all those other elements. It shows extreme originality, and I think it's got some emotional resonance. With the motion blur, look, I don't disagree with that one either. So thanks for that comment, Gary. I feel that there is enough movement in her hair to address that. Sometimes if you've got to be quite careful with adding things like motion blur so that it doesn't become almost like a caricature of the image and a little bit too overcooked, shall we say. But look, I'd love to see it score a few more points. It's on 83. I think it's a silver distinction. I think it's beautiful.
Thanks, Mandarin. Judges, if you could please rescore. And this image remains at silver with one more point at 84. Congratulations to the photographer. And that was actually the last image of this category. So wow, highly inspirational, some brilliant ideas, some beautiful homages, all kinds of incredible techniques and styles all coming together so beautifully. Well done to our entrants for everything you have submitted. Huge thank you to our judges, Benjamin Liu, Christopher Ian, Gary Hughes, Jasmine Sky Smith, Lisa Kurtz, Mandarin Montgomery, and Naomi Ryder. Thank you so much to our audience for tuning in and allowing us to celebrate this amazing photography with you. Don't forget to join us for the awards ceremony on the 13th of August. So it's still a little way away yet for the announcement of the winners. And we will see you all soon at our next category. Thanks so much. See you later.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzito from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
The PPBN is a network,
An online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.